Evening and welcome to another edition of One Sports. Hope you enjoyed the show last time. Listen, we've got another exciting show here for you tonight again. We've got two champs here from the boxing world, from the professional boxing world. So I'll introduce in a bit. But before I introduce them, Abdal, you can join us in various ways.
Yes, good evening guys. Thank you for joining us again today. We've got boxing today. It's a fantastic sport. It's growing all the time. And we've got, like Abu said, we've got some fantastic guests here today. The studio number, if you want to join in the conversation, 0203 515 1764. Okay, so 0203 515 1764 is the studio hotline number. We're live on Facebook at One Sports. So if you want to leave a comment on there, you can do, and we'll pick it up at the show here. So please do get involved in the show. We've got a fantastic local rising star who will share his experience of boxing as he's grown up in the East End.
Yeah, so on my right here, we've got Bilal Ali, professional boxer. Bilal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously, we've got a legend here as well. Tunde Ajayi, trainer, manager. You sort of train some of the superstars as well, aren't you?
Pleasure to be here, sir. Joining everyone.
Thanks, Tunde, for coming.
The young man, Bilal Ali.
Brilliant,
Fantastic.
Brilliant. And listen, let's kick-start the show. Tunde, let's start off with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about boxing, how you got in, why you getting in there. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, it's I like to use the word serendipity, how I came into this sport, because I really was never even thinking about boxing. I was always from a football background, but I could always fight. And when I fell in love with boxing, it's just by chance. I didn't actually even have an intention of getting a professional trainer's license. It was someone who was already established in the sport, Spencer Fearon, who noted my talents as a trainer, because there was actually a young man at the time, a young man called Junior McDonald, who was an engineer for Hewlett Packard, and I trained him just part-time, and he made it through to the national ABA final, losing a close decision against Tony Bellew, who everybody knows. And I was doing this like 1 day, 2 days a week. And then another young man came to me, Akash Bhatia, an Indian young man, and again, I done the same thing. He made it all the way through to the ABA final. He lost against Stephen Smith, the famous Smith brothers. And so I thought, I must be good at this. Yeah, because I'm doing it. I'm not even really giving it my full focus and my full attention. But Spencer Fearon was actually the person that, gave me my first break in the sport, which was an undercard of a European title fight, live on BBC Sports. So I literally had no warm-up. My first ever corner as a trainer was a championship fight. Spencer Fearon against Gilbert Eastman. On that massive card. And it was because of Spencer I got a professional trainer's license, and here we are today, living a fantastic life, a journey which is really unexplainable, and culminating in the world title fight last year with Anthony Yard. And what a pleasure it is to bring this young man, let him see that experience. Bilal was around me when he was 12 years old. He went away, thought he was Jack the Lad. But, came back and said he wanted to take it seriously when I think it was about 17, 18.
18, yeah.
18, and I'm so proud of him. Now an ambassador for Adidas.
Okay, wow.
Limited amateur experience, only 3 amateur fights. Same with Anthony Yard, 12 amateur fights. And both of them are ambassadors for Adidas. So I feel that I've done my job to some degree. I won't be happy until they're both world champions. And it's just been an amazing journey, and here we are today. It keeps growing from strength to strength.
And we come to Bilal, a young man from the East End. You're not too far from the studio, you're a stone throw away. What enticed you into boxing? And did you always do boxing? Is it something that you done from school, or were you in football, or were you in cricket, or were you in another sport, or was it just boxing all the way through?
No, well, my first ever sport that I enjoyed was actually boxing. I remember when I used to be in school, there was times where I just told myself, I want to learn how to defend myself. I think that is important. And my cousin is actually the one that took me into boxing. Like Tunde said, at the age of 12, 13, and he introduced me to Tunde. So at a young age, I remember I was there at the gym, training with Tunde for about 6-7 months, getting the work in. But as a young kid, sometimes you don't really know what you want in life. So I remember I left. I got involved with, you know, things that I wasn't too proud of. But, you know, I always say it's funny because boxing, I always say, this is why it's all about mindset, because boxing, in a way, at that time when I learned how to fight, it kind of took me in a negative route because I knew how to fight. I was actually fighting quite a lot. So I got kicked out of school. I remember I went to college, I got kicked out of college also for fighting, and that's when my cousin actually told me at the age of 18, you know what, you need to start boxing again, join again, and take it serious this time. So I remember for a long time he was lecturing me. I wasn't really having it, and then I remember he mentioned Tunde's name, and I remember even when I left at the age of 13, I used to always talk about Tunde's training, and it showed that my heart was always there, even though I left. And I remember I'd come back, join Tunde, and from there, I remember how quick I was getting better and better, how quick I was improving. And from there, I said, you know what, this is definitely the place for me. And from there, I stuck to it, changed my mindset, and where I was before, I can definitely tell the younger generation now that to get out of that and just go somewhere, do something that's positive. And right now what I'm doing is 100% positive. And I would like to thank Tunde for, you know, changing me as a man and helping me grow, because that's what he's done. And you know, I'm very happy to be here.
You need amazing people like Tunde, you know, in boxing, in sports, don't you?
100%.
To actually help young people like yourself. Bill, how did you sort of motivate yourself? Because obviously being a young man, you know, there's a lot of distractions. You know, you've got to be disciplined, you know, if you're going to take a professional sport, especially boxing. You know, how did you change your mindset? You know, what made you sort of, you know, want to succeed? You know, the discipline and everything that comes with it.
Well, in a way, life motivated me. You know what I'm saying? People, my team motivated me, because me being here, it showed I can get good at this, I can improve, and you know, doing this, you know, I always really wanted to. My mindset has always been, once I reach to a certain level, to help people, to just go far. You know, help my family, help people around me, and those are the things that motivate me. And in the sport, if you really want it, you do it. And these are the sort of things that I learned, you know, from Tunde, from my team, and yeah, it's a disciplined sport. You gotta take it serious because it's not easy.
Tunde, just coming back to that, obviously we know, and we, as football coaches and coaches in the professional sports industry, we know how important a coach's role or the manager's role is.
Yes.
In especially with a young person like Bilal, who's started and gone off away from sport, and to bring him back into sport and to have the motivation to keep him there. We have that a lot now with our youngsters, don't we? Not just boxing, football, cricket, basketball, whatever the sport is, we have that just because of the way the society is, and even more so now because of lockdown. People haven't been training and they've gone, you know, they've been at home. It's all changed now. What is it that you do to keep these people interested in boxing and keep fighting?
A few words. Be what you want to see. I've always had this mantra. I come from an environment very similar to many in the London area, Manchester, Birmingham. It's the same environment. We all come up, you know, there's not many Cambridge University students boxing. So, you know, the people that enter boxing really strive to live a better life, want a better life. And I was always, because I was brought up in the area, I was always seeing people talking, but not actually delivering. And or they would get to a certain point and we would never see them. So I always wanted to teach, but actually be the example. So I'm up 3 o'clock in the morning on social media, singing and running, saying to young men, my team, letting them see that if your coach is doing it, you know, this is the inspiration. You know, I coined the phrase, if you do what you say you do, you're gonna get what you say you want. And many people talk, but not many people deliver. So the thing is that I have to be a role model. I put the pressure on myself to show these young men that not only are we talking about it, that we're doing it. And that's the best way. You know, action is the greatest teacher. Talk, talk, talk. We can all talk. But I think these young men, especially when they come from certain environments, you know, many people, especially where I came from, single parent families, you know, usually the mothers bearing all the weight. And mothers do a great job.
No.
But especially men. Men, again, I was a standout in my community. I was the only kid on the estate that was brought up by their father. And I feel that gave me a lot of leadership abilities and qualities. And a lot of these young men look at me as their fathers. So I've got a role to play for them. And I just continue to work hard and show them I don't complicate things. I always say anything complicated.
You know what, today? That's amazing, and we're going to just hold it, yeah? We've got a call on the line.
Caller, yeah. Good evening, caller. Who's calling? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
I think we lost him.
Caller,
Hello.
Still on. Hi, caller. Can you hear us? You're live in the studio.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear us? We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, we can hear you. Who's calling?
It's Mohammed.
Mohammed. Where are you calling from, Mohammed?
I'm calling from North London.
North London, yeah. What would you like to say, Mohammed?
Yeah, I would just like to say that I've seen Bilal fighting. I've been to all his fights, and I could tell that he's going to be a really good fighter in the future. I
Yeah.
can tell that he's really it's like these other fighters that I see, they're a lot more rushy. He's like really controlled in his fighting, so I really like him.
Mohammed, do you box yourself?
No, I don't box, but I watch a lot of boxing.
Okay. And would you be interested in taking Tunde's role as a coach or a manager one day rather than Bilal's role as a boxer? Are you interested in that?
Sorry?
Would you be interested in doing what Tunde's doing in training people like Bilal to become professional boxers?
100%.
Yeah. Tunde, any word of advice for this young man who was
What is he?
to become a coach?
Bilal, just keep training hard, and the next one, inshallah, it's a knockout.
Mohammed, what do you think? What makes you Bilal stand out from other boxers, perhaps? You know, what can make him world champion one day?
Because every fight I've been to, he don't really get hit. So if you can keep on doing that, inshallah, one day, you know, world champion.
Inshallah. That's brilliant. Thanks, Mohammed, for phoning. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got
Another call.
Good evening, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Sam, calling from South London.
South London. How you doing, South? Thanks for joining us on the
South
call.
in the house.
We got South London in the house. What would you like to say?
Well, I've met Tunde and Bilal, know them a little bit. Just wanted to say both of them stand-up guys. Got a phenomenal boxer there who's up and coming, and you've got Tunde who, as he says, has mentored to look after guys. I've got a sport platform called MyID Sports, and they have only helped me. They never needed to, but as Tunde has said, he's a great figure for everybody in boxing, and he is determined to help everyone. Bilal, phenomenal boxer, definitely the next upcoming lightweight champion of the world, 100%. So I just wanted to say thank you to both of them for what they're doing and for showing support in the boxing community when they never needed to do that.
Well, thank you for your call, Saif. That's we'll pick up with Tunde and Bilal on them points, but thank you. Stay tuned and keep watching the rest of the show.
Tunde, you know, obviously rave reviews for both of you. I mean,
Yes.
what motivates you? Let's talk about that. You know,
My father is my sole motivation. You know, here we have a man that brought up another child on his own. You know, everyone had their mother, and most of my peers' fathers had left. So I would never ever not love my dad for doing that, because I know in the environment we come from how many fathers left their children. And so I always say, before my dad leaves this earth, before they put dust on his body, he's gonna have everything. And that's why I'm up. And that's why I train so hard. When I came off of the streets, I said, this is it. This is my blessing. And I'm not taking a blessing for granted. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to share all the knowledge to people because I'm a giver. My father is a giver, and that's where I learned it from. And givers gain. I tell everybody, givers gain.
You know, you funny you say that. We've had other boxing guests on the show in previous shows, and they've always talked about their family being an inspiration and that pillar. And Bilal, you've mentioned the same about how important your family has been to you. Is that natural in boxing? Because sometimes in football and things like that, you do get that, but with football, it's more of the team sport. You're relying on team players, but boxing, you're in there by yourself. So you need that inspiration. And we've seen from previous shows, it always comes back to like a family member or a family, or you know, they've been on the streets and they've come back out from the streets and they've taken up boxing. And that's a great thing. And as you said, you started boxing and you went off track and you come back and boxing brought you back. We've got a lot of youngsters out there at the moment that you know, Bilal, you're on the streets as well, that who are off track. How can we bring them back? Is it more centres? Is it more coaches like yourself? Is it role models like Bilal?
Well, before you go into that question, Bilal, I'm going to say, Tunde, your father is amazing.
Yes.
You know, because let's be honest, you know, especially in the BAME communities, our fathers are normally working 24/7, you know, even with the mother around. So for someone to actually bring up the kids on his own is absolutely fantastic.
And become an ACC and CIMA qualified accountant.
Wow, you know, that is even more amazing. So yeah, you know, huge credit to your father as well, I've got to say there. And you know, that's motivation in itself for yourself, you know. And Bilal, obviously you've got amazing trainers behind you. And I think Abdul's question was in terms of motivating further, and you know, you got Tunde's story as well. Yeah, you know, what's your view?
Well, like Tunde said, talking won't really do much. I mean, you could always talk to the younger generation, but sometimes talking don't really do nothing. I think actions speak louder than words, and I think showing the younger generation or people out there on the streets that need this motivation, I think showing is 100% more motivating for them than talking. And I think me showing it, Tunde showing it, our team showing it, will definitely motivate them to show them that if we can do it from where we come from, that these lot can do it also.
And when you say team, when we're talking coaching, me and Abu as a football coach, we're talking about 20-man squad, 30-man squad.
Yes.
When you talk about boxing, what do you mean by team? Just Tunde and your other assistant coach, or you mean the club that you train with, or the club?
Yeah, so basically the Stamina Cell team, that's our team. So that's pretty much.
Okay.
So you know, in terms of how important is it, you know, to have the right team behind you? So obviously you got Tunde, you got the trainers, you got a promoter as well. Is it Frank Warren? You're with, so you got another big promoters. How important is all of that, Tunde? You know, for a young boxer like Bilal, having the right people behind you.
Bilal said it. It's Stamina for Cell. That's the name of the team. I formed this in my head, in my own mind. I don't think there is a team like us in the whole country. I think the closest is probably the Ingles, where Prince Nazim Hamid came from, but they don't call themselves anything. We are the first branded team in boxing.
You know, I'm going to hold you on that, because when I was thinking about the show today and about when I was growing up, what boxing I used to watch, it was Prince Nassim.
Yes.
You know, that's who I grew up with, and I'm sure...
I was Mike Tyson, to be honest. That's
a bit older than me.
Yes.
But I don't know, Bilal, you're probably too young to even know about Prince Nassim, but I sense that from Bilal. You get that, you know, I've only met him today, you know, but I sense that already from him, that passion, that drive. You can see that, and credit to you, obviously, and the team who have instilled that in him. So Bilal, you've got a lot to live up to.
You're very busy today, guys. Let's take the call and we'll carry on.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're live on air. Hi. Who's calling and where are you calling from?
It's Shazia. I'm calling from Barking Riverside and have known Bilal.
Awesome, Jen. How are you doing? You okay? Thanks for ringing. What do you have to say?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, great. So I've known Bilal since childhood. He's my son's one of his best friends. And I'd just like to say that Bilal has a heart of gold. You know, he has no arrogance about him. And he's hardworking and dedicated and a very, very humble guy, mashallah. And I think that's going to get him very far. He's very talented, he's hardworking and talented. And like I said, very, very humble. And a very loving person. And I've known him since childhood. So he's just fun, and I like to do Allah makes him successful and open every door of success for him.
Wow, that's brilliant. What advice would you give Bilal? You know, obviously he's well known now as well. You've got to keep your feet on the ground as well. What advice would you give him?
Thank you. Well, power comes from Allah, victory comes from Allah. So remember, inshallah, you will be victorious in anything in life. That's it. Just persevere, stay steadfast.
Brilliant,
Very,
inshallah.
very wise
Thank you
advice
for your
there from
call.
our
Brilliant
sister.
advice there.
Come on.
Bilal, you know, obviously, you know, great advice, you know, hearing a lot of rave reviews. I obviously done a bit of research on you before the show as well. You know, we're looking at a superstar, you know, in the making here. You know, but obviously, I've been through, you know, sort of sports myself. Didn't make it as 18-year-old, you know, in the football scene. It was downhill. It's really tough to take. Now, obviously, it's a long journey here. It's a marathon, isn't it? There's going to be a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges, you know. How do you overcome these, you know, in terms of getting to the top? You know, what are the key things that you think you need to do to make it right to the top, to be that world champ?
Hard work. I believe it's just that simple. You just got to work hard, you got to sacrifice, and you got to pretty much put everything into it. You know, my prayers are always first, and my hard work. And I think that's what's taken me to this point of my career at the moment. So that's my advice to the people out there that ask that question.
And just on that, when you went about hard work, just give us a brief into your day-to-day training or your week-to-week training. What does it look like? Like, say on a Monday when you start a fresh week, what does it look like?
Well, literally just work. You know, you go to the gym, you put the work in.
How many hours are you at the gym on a Monday? Are you at the gym every day?
Every day, every single day. But it's different. You know, you go for your runs. You know, you train in the gym. You work hours in the gym. You work hours in the gym later again. You just keep training, and you got to work harder than anybody.
Yeah. And from someone who's been in the streets and East London is a hard place, you've had to sacrifice some of the social life, I guess, to be in the gym to do that. Because I'm sure your boys, your friends are at and enjoying themselves, but that's the sacrifice you're making to get to the top.
100%. You know, there's been times when my friends are going out, or just doing little things, and you know, I can't go because I got training in the morning, or there's certain times that were wrong. You know, I enjoy myself. I mean, I got no weekend. I'll go out with my friends. You know, just chill. You know, go out and eat or whatever. But you know, my mind is so focused in boxing that they understand that themselves because I explain it to them. It's gone to a point where they know not to call me certain days, certain times, and it's gone good now. At the start, it was a bit difficult because I'd explain it to everybody and the reasons why, because it was a big change. But now they know, so it's all good.
Hold a thought there, Bilal. We're going to have to take a break. So give it a few minutes. We'll see you all after the break. Back to the show. Exciting, inspiring. That's all I can say so far. So yeah, please do phone. If you've got any questions, any views, please do phone in. So let's just carry on here, Abdul. You had a question for Bilal, I think.
Yeah, just to say, it's been amazing just talking to Tunde and Bilal in that break. I wanted to get some water because my throat's dry, but just talking to these guys, it's been amazing. We were talking about role models and the family and what it means to boxers and young people in London and other parts of UK who are coming into boxing. Now, in this current climate, we see lots of boxing centres closed. There's lots around, but some have been closed because the facility's not good enough no more. There's no funding in it. And others are just closed because they can't run no more because they ain't got the people coming through the door. They can't fund. Is that going to affect boxing in the next 3 or 4 years?
Maybe.
Don't it?
Well, to me, boxing's always been more than just two people getting in a ring. It's a mental health exercise. It's an exercise or a sport that can actually help people in so many different areas. Life is hard, and you don't need a gym per se or facilities. Sometimes, you look at the Mexicans and the Cubans, they just use the raw materials. So what do I mean by this? Sometimes, it might be a mother and a son, a mother and a daughter, a father and a son. One acts as the trainer and one acts as the fighter. You go through, I developed a app, a boxing app, where you go through the punches with that. And all these things help alleviate certain stresses. And that's why I feel boxing is so important and pivotal to society as a whole. And I do believe that it should be brought into a curriculum in a non-contact way, because again, life is hard. And with this whole pandemic and people are stressed in their house. So obviously things are a lot easier if there's facilities for people to go to, but not everybody can get to facilities. Not everybody can afford a train ticket across one part of the city to another to go to a gym. But you know, you can order. Amazon is a great place now. You know, order a pair of pads, gloves, and put them on. Take out your stress. You know, it helps. You know, exercise is very important. It's mind, body, and spirit, and the boxing part of it is key in terms of the mental health. So, going back to your question, clubs will be affected. Clubs have been affected from this whole pandemic, but we still can carry on to help people in terms of just their mental health.
Tunde, in terms of, you know, talking about sort of the fighters, British fighters, so I think probably in this country we're a bit more privileged than maybe, you know, the Mexicans or the South Americans, people like that.
Yes.
You know, how do you keep the hunger in the likes of Bilal and the other young boxers that you're training to become that world champion? How do you
Well, it's very
continue that?
difficult because we were very difficult because this is the tech age, and as you say, people in this country they're really blessed, you know, but there's a lot of distractions, and we all know that boxing is the hardest sport in the world. And how do you know? You take trips to Las Vegas, which is what I done. I took young fighters from this country to Las Vegas in Floyd Mayweather's gym. I took Anthony Yarde, O'Hara Davis, and a few other fighters years ago before the whole Floyd Mayweather thing. And I remember we was walking in there and seeing young Mexicans, young Cubans who literally had nothing, literally families waiting outside the gym. And I would say to them, you know, this is it. This is what you got. You know, if you want to be the top of the sport, this is what you got to come up against. People that don't have the privileges that we have. So let's be grateful and thankful for what we have and don't abuse it. Let's work hard. Let's work harder. Let's work as though we're in their position. And the way you do that, or the way I've done that, is I work hard. I term the phrase, trainers got to train. You know, it's not the days of a trainer having a cup of tea and saying to the fighters, do this, that. I'm changing that. I've changed it. And I just aim to be the motivation and the example for the people that's around me. That's why when Bilal talks about a team, even if you're an outsider coming in, you have, you know, Anthony Yarde coined the phrase, lions in the camp. That's what it is. So if you're a cub and you come into the camp, you soon become a lion because of the mentality of everyone that's around you. And it's great. And because we know we got to work hard, because we know there's Mexicans, Cubans, and all different people in the diaspora who want it as bad as we do, it gives us the mindset that, no, let's work harder. Let's aim to be better tomorrow than we were today. And that's it, really. It's just, Bilal said it, it's not complicated. It sounds so easy that no one does it, and that's work hard.
How important, today, obviously you're obviously linked in with a lot of promoters. You know, in terms of how do you decide which promoter would be good for Bilal and other boxers? You know, do you come to a decision? Is it just a matter of, listen, I go to Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, whoever?
Well,
how do you sort of decide?
You know, my history is one of dealing with Frank Warren, and it's not that I haven't dealt with other promoters, but I've had a good relationship with Frank Warren for many years. And the reason why I'm always speaking highly of people like Bilal is because Frank took my word for it. You know, with Bilal, with Anthony, those two individuals, Frank never knew them. You know, these young men, they don't have Olympic silver medalists like Amir Khan or Olympic gold medalists like Anthony Joshua. They wasn't ABA champions. They literally were blessed to be aligned to a promoter based on my word. And I'm thankful for that Frank took my word for it. I think he's more than got his money's worth with Anthony Yarde already. and this young man, I believe, with all my heart, has the ability, because most trainers on a high profile get champions given to them.
Yeah.
I never look at, a lot of young people contact me, because when Anthony first came to me, I said, go and win something. He went back to the Haringey Box Cup, knocked out everybody, he come back, said, would you train me now? I said, okay, you've done something. Bilal was totally different. Bilal, I think he had 2 amateur fights. Three amateur fights. And for him to be aligned to a TV promoter, a Hall of Fame promoter, again, it's a blessing.
So on that, Bilal, pressure. Like you must feel some pressure. You've got Tunde to keep up. You've got Frank Warren, one of the biggest boxing promoters in the world, to keep up. And obviously your friends and your family who mean so much to you, you must feel that pressure.
There's no pressure.
No?
No. But it's just more motivating for me
Yeah.
when them things are, known to me. Knowing that my family are here, my team is here, and just what I've been given for my work. So that motivates me even more.
How's your family been, Bilal? Very sorry. In terms of obviously motivating yourself, giving you that commitment, because we don't always have the family support. How important has that been? Have you had that family support?
And on that note, mention your family, man. Give them a shout out.
Well, my mum, my dad. My dad's somebody who, a long time ago, he used to deal with a lot of things on the streets. He used to deal with a lot of racism back then. There was a group called New M7, who my dad was in. And me growing up, I used to always hear about my dad fighting for what's right, fighting for his people, fighting for himself. And I think that's just what gave me motivation, to pretty much do the same. Because what we're doing now, we're fighters. We're fighting in the ring, we're fighting for our people, we're fighting for ourselves. And that's pretty much it, So that's what motivates me. My dad, who's been through what he's been through. Tunde here, my team.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got a little brother.
Give them a shout out, man. Give them a wave on the screen.
Yeah, but that's what it is, man.
Bilal, do you think, obviously, in terms of there is that pressure? Look, let's be honest with you. Hopefully, inshallah, you become a champ one day. You got millions and millions of followers. It naturally happens. Being Asian, being Muslim, obviously there isn't many successful Muslim sports people around as well. So you're going to get around 2 billion followers around the world. When you do sort of make it really, really big. How do you cope with that pressure? How do you keep your feet on the ground?
Well, like I said, I enjoy this. So it's not really like it's something that I'm nervous about. Nothing. I just enjoy it. When I'm in the ring, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. When I'm training every day, I'm enjoying it. So it's just something that I love, and that's why I keep coming every day.
Tunde, how important is it? Obviously you mentioned the family as well.
Yes.
But in terms of the pressure from your community, because obviously you're out there, Bilal's out there training, other young fighters are out there training, but there is always that pressure because you're like, constantly you're going out. People, the expectations are really, really high.
Yes.
How do you ensure that young people actually manage that correctly? What are the key things they're going to do?
I think it's important to stay connected to the foundation, where you come from. Allow people to see that, you are Bilal, same Bilal from the block, that we grew up together. And Bilal knows, even me, it's one of the reasons I talk the way I talk. I don't try to sugarcoat nothing. I don't leave Peckham and then start talking like I come from Oxford. I just talk the talk. I've always been like that. And I know my community respect me for that. They see my Instagram. I ain't changed that much. Obviously, my environment has changed, which is that's the motivation. You want a better environment for your family. And again, going back to Bilal, I remember when we first got all of this, drove to Bilal's house. His dad was like, brother, come in, you are my son, and everything like that. And I was like, yeah. Thank you, Dad. I can't call his dad is my dad. Yeah. And he said, listen, brother, whatever it is, my son is in your hands. And I promised Bilal's dad, I said, I'll look after your son as if it's my own son. And that's always been my blueprint for success. I treat every fighter that I'm involved with as if it's my blood son. I won't allow nobody to misuse them, mistreat them. I don't know everything. And it's important that I create good relationships where I can be advised well. And I believe if you keep the great character, the character that you had before the fame, the lights, the camera, because all this is fleeting. It will go eventually. You know, and you gotta, people remember that. So if you start playing Charlie Big Potatoes when the camera's on, and then all of a sudden your career is over, people will remember how you treated them. So in our team, we're all humble. We're all like Bilal. You're not seeing a unique case in Bilal. Anthony Yard is like that. Mohib Fawzuddin is like that. Amin Jahanzab is like that. Raza Hamza is like that. It sounds like it's like an Asian thing, isn't it?
It's rolled off of your tongue naturally.
These are my brothers. You know, me and Bilal, we always make jokes. We always say black and Asian because his initials is B.A. Bilal Ali. My initials is B.A. Babatunde Ajayi. And B.A. black and Asian. So you know, we're just a family, and we just like to show people from, especially the young ones, because let's get it right. The children are the future. And it's important that they have correct role models so they can look on others and say, Bilal done it, I can do it. Bilal came from the same community as me, and look at him today. He's on slides with Rita Ora, which is, I'm happy. He done an advert with JD Sports 2 weeks ago. You got to remember, this is amazing. This is Allah. This is God. Because you can't explain it. Just like we don't know how the sun, moon, and the stars are created. One person does. And you can't explain how somebody with no amateur experience, no amateur fights, no great granddad that was a bare knuckle champion, can be gifted and blessed in this manner. But when you see Bilal's mother, when you see Bilal's father, how pure they are, how respectful they are, you realize that's the blessing. The blessing is to your children.
That's a credit to your family, Bilal, and Tunde as well. Look, I work in football, and seeing young kids, 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, before they even kicked a ball in the professional match, they think they made it, you know.
Yes.
You saw bling bling, you know, you saw the, you know, headphones, you know, the gold jewelry, the whole lot, you know, and
I mean,
and
so
suddenly, you know, bang, the reality kicks in.
Exactly.
When they don't get into the first.
It's so refreshing to hear them words from you, Tunde, and obviously the relationship that you guys have is unique, is strong. We can see that, sitting here, sense it, we can sense that. And I said earlier, you remind me a lot of Prince Nassim. Hopefully,
a humble version of Prince Nassim.
Yeah, but just that relationship is really, really refreshing to see. And I think
Prince Nassim was humble.
Yeah.
He's a showman.
He was a
That's what I'm saying. There's time for that.
Prince Nazim is a humble brother.
Yeah.
See, people mistake when you have confidence. And how do you know he's humble? He probably was one of the first and only boxers to get in the ring and say, Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
That we ain't seen that. We ain't seen someone proclaim Islam on a level of Prince Nazim Hamid. So unless someone can explain to me what humility means, Prince Nazim is humble. What he was a showman and a character, which rubbed people up the wrong way. I know
Bilal was coming to the point where there's nothing wrong working hard and enjoying yourself in the ring. And there is a time for you to enjoy your hard work, because you've done that. That's your fruits of your labor. When you get into the ring, that motivates you. That's going to give you the adrenaline to go into the ring and do what you have to do in the ring. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, it's refreshing to see just the humbleness in the relationship that you have in your family relationship, and that comes across. So credit to both of you, and hopefully those who are watching are aspiring youngsters. If you've got any questions for Bilal or Tunde, if you want to get into boxing, or you're at a level in boxing, you want to take it to the next level and need some advice, I'm pretty sure Tunde will be more than happy to help you and give you that advice. 0203 515 1764 is the studio hotline. We are on Facebook Live One Sports. You can leave a comment on there if you don't want to call into the show. Just coming back to role models. in the boxing industry, as you were growing up, I'll ask to both of you, who was your role model? And Tunde?
Well, I never really had a role model, but people that I just used to enjoy watching were fighters like Floyd Mayweather. Even now, you know, Floyd Mayweather. I used to like Mike Tyson, like you said, Prince Nassim Muhammad, Sugar Ray Leonard. You know, these are the fighters that I used to love watching as a young kid, and even now, you know. And one thing about all them fighters I just named, they were also showmen as well. I mean, I think there's a time for that, to be a showman, because in this sport, it's all about the entertainment business as well. And, you know, I don't think you should ever get mixed with their real personality and what they show on cameras and everything. So,
Fantastic.
Tunde, and